Hello, my name is Clara Rueda, and I am part of the submission and processing unit here at ECHA. The content of my presentation, SCIP database, tools, and tips for preparing a successful notification, is relevant for industry or other actors that place on the market articles containing substance of very high concern included in the candidate list that may have an obligation as a result of the Waste Framework Directive revision. Today, I will provide you an overview on the different tools that we have developed for preparing and submitting SCIP notifications. I will also give you an introduction on different simplification strategies that we have defined to try to implement this complex duty in an efficient way. Then we will take a look on some tips on some topics that I want to highlight to share with you that we have compiled looking at the data that the SCIP has already received. I will also provide you some light on what are our 2022 plans for those tools to prepare and submit SCIP notifications, and I will finalize the presentation with some take-home messages for you. Let's start with the first part, with the tools created for preparing and submitting SCIP notifications. Before starting briefly, I want to summarize here which are the new duties that are created after the revision of the Waste Framework Directive. So duty holders, so suppliers of articles containing substance of very high concern on the candidate list in a concentration above 0.1% weight by weight, need to submit to ECHA information to allow the safe use of those articles, including over the whole life cycle of the product, including the waste stage. Okay. The information that has to be submitted is divided in three parts, three sections. One is information to allow the identification of the article that is being notified. Then is information related with the safe use of this article. And finally, information of the substance of very high concern that is included in the article, where it's located, in which material, in which is the concentration of this substance. Then there is also new duties for ECHA to build a database to receive this information and to make it available for waste operators, consumers, and other interested parties. Let's take a look on the tools that we have built. The first step that ECHA has done is to define a harmonized format to structure the information that has to be submitted to us. Okay, so ECHA defined a harmonized Euclid format, which is XML based, to create this SCIP notification dossiers that has to be submitted to ECHA. Companies can decide to prepare these SCIP notification dossiers online using the Euclid Cloud. Also, you would like to prepare these SCIP notification dossiers offline using a Euclid 6 server and desktop version. And then once these SCIP notification dossiers are prepared, they need to be submitted to the ECHA submission portal. Of course, we have also put in place a third option to submit information to SCIP. And in this third option, companies can use their own IT systems, their own IT programs to build this SCIP notification dossiers following the harmonized format that ECHA has defined. Okay, and then these companies can connect their system with the ECHA submission portal to submit the data using the system-to-system service. This interaction between the company's IT systems and the ECHA submission portal is performed using a predefined interface, an API. Okay, once the information is received at the ECHA submission portal, is validated to ensure consistency of the data, and then is storage in our SCIP database. Then SCIP will make available all this information in our ECHA main page for to provide access to this information to consumers, to waste operators, and other interested parties. The information will be publicly available. Additional information on how to use these tools and all support documentation that we have prepared for you and how to access to these tools is available on the SCIP webpage, okay, in the section Tools and also in the section Support. Now I will introduce you what are the simplification strategies that we have developed in coordination with duty holders and other stakeholders. The idea, as I said, is to try to implement this complex duty in an efficient way. These tools allows to comply with the SCIP duty by making reference to data that has been previously submitted to ECHA. Okay, so these tools facilitate the submission of a SCIP notification and at the same time ensure consistency of the data in the SCIP database because it reduces the need to submit duplicated data many times. Okay, imagine different stakeholders placing the same article placing in the market the same article. They need to submit the repeated data. Instead of doing that, they can refer to data that has been previously submitted to SCIP. Those two tools are Simplify SCIP Notification, also called SSN, and the use of referencing in a SCIP notification dossier. I'm going to explain you a little bit how they works, who can use them, also providing you an example. So let's start with Simplify SCIP Notification. This tool will be used mainly for distributors. Okay, distributors receive an article and place in the market the same article without doing any change on it. So the idea here is that they can comply with their SCIP duty by making reference to the data that has been previously submitted. So they don't need to prepare a dossier. They just need to prepare some reference to the previously submitted data. How it works. Here we have a supply change with one legal entity 1, which is placing in which can be, for example, an assembler or an importer, which is placing on the market a bicycle A. He prepared the dossier with all the information that has to be submitted to SCIP and submit it to ECHA. Submit the SCIP notification. ECHA validate the information, and if the submission is succeed, ECHA will provide a SCIP number for this bicycle A for this legal entity 1. If this legal entity 1, this assembler of the bicycle or this importer of the bicycle wants to support their clients, distributor 2 and distributor 3, he can share with them this SCIP number he has received to ECHA to allow them to fulfill their SCIP obligation by referring to the data that he has submitted. For example, legal entity 2 can share the SCIP number of bicycle A as part of the safe use information that he usually provides to them. Then is legal entity 2 and legal entity 3. They can submit a Simplify SCIP notification by just providing the SCIP number that they have received from the suppliers of the bicycle. Okay, this SCIP number that is submitted is checked and validated, and then if the number that has been provided is valid, it will provide a reply to the legal entity 2 and legal entity 3 with the new SCIP number, also acknowledging the succeed submission of the information. This strategy, this tool, can also be useful for companies that belongs to the same corporate group. Okay, so imagine big corporate groups which have some different affiliates that place in the market the same article. So the idea for example, is that one of these affiliates, one of these companies, which is part of this conglomerate, can submit the dossier with all the information of the article that is placed on the market, and then the other affiliates can refer to this notification, can do SSN to this first notification. In order to support this use case of companies belonging to the same corporate group, before summer, we have released a new feature in the ECHA submission portal that allowed the submission of SSN, of simplified SCIP notifications in bulk, for multiple legal entities in one process. Okay, more detailed information on how it works, how can it be used, it's available, as I said, in the support section of the SCIP webpage. Now I'm going to introduce you the other simplification strategy, the use of referencing in a SCIP notification dossier. This option, this tool will be used for assemblers of complex objects that needs to prepare a SCIP notification for these complex objects, and they can create a lightweight dossier by including the information of the components of the bicycle, by doing referencing to the information that has been previously submitted for those components. Let's see this example. We have this assembler of the bicycle, okay? And his wheel supplier has already complied with his SCIP duties. He had provided SCIP notification to ECHA. He has received the SCIP number for the wheel A, and he decides to support his client, this assembler of the bicycle, providing him the SCIP number, so allowing the assembler to make reference to the data that has been previously submitted for the wheel A. Then the assembler of the bicycle will prepare the SCIP notification, this SCIP notification, and will provide the information related with the wheel by referencing, by including this SCIP number. Then this SCIP notification will be submitted to ECHA, validate, it will go through the validation process, and if the validation passes, the assembler of the bicycle will receive a SCIP number, meaning that he has complied with his duty. Later on, ECHA will start to prepare to disseminate the information that is receiving. And for example, for the bicycle, when he starts to prepare the information that will be disseminated for the bicycle, it will provide the information that has been included in the dossier for the handlebar grips. And then ECHA will fetch the information for the wheel, the information that will be disseminated next to the bicycle for the wheel will be fetched from the information from the SCIP notification submitted by the wheel A producer. Okay. You know, recently we have started to disseminate the data that we are receiving. So you can start to look at the data that is there, that is previously submitted and that you may refer to. Okay, so you can start to look at the data before you referring, you use it, you refer to it. And then also I would like to inform you that we are also developing a new feature for the SCIP database that will allow to search by a SCIP number. Okay, so it will be easier to find the notifications there. The next section of the presentations are tips for duty holders. These tips that we have compiled looking at the data that we have started to receive. Okay. And in first place, I want to first congratulate all of you that have started to submit information to us. As Kevin was mentioning before, we have almost received 12 million notifications, which is an impressive work done by duty holders, but done by most of you. As you know, all this information that we are receiving, we are starting to make it available, and we will make the information available as it is received. Okay, so the quality of the information that is that we are making available, that is in dissemination, it depends on the quality of the information that we are receiving. So now that you can start to see how we are disseminating data, we encourage those of you that have started to start to see how your data looks in the database, okay, and to review if your notification strategy is supporting the main SCIP objectives. Having this in mind, you should make sure that the SCIP notification should include clear and understandable information for the users of the data. Have in mind the consumers, the waste operators, and maybe other interested parties. You have to make sure that your notification contains a correct identification of the article in the notification and in the article that you are placing in the market, so you can understand what is the article that is being notified. You should also provide an identification of the candidate list substance that is present in the article, provide the concentration range of this substance and also the location of this substance in the article. And finally, provide proper safe use information of the article over the whole life cycle, including the waste stage. Okay. Taking a look on the information that we have received, in many cases, we see that it's sometimes complicated to identify the article that is related with one notification. Okay, so we really encourage you to help users finding your articles by checking how you are really identifying the articles. Okay, please make sure that you are using a descriptive name in the notification of the article. We have seen that sometimes there are, as article names, some companies are just including numbers or not really descriptive names of the article that is being notified. Okay, and below you can see an example. No, this is 2 notifications for a watch, and one of it as article name includes traditional, which is not really helping for consumers to understand which is under this SCIP notification. Please remember that you have different fields to include information about brand and model that can support the users of the data to uniquely identify the article. Also, you can include other public identifiers like the EN number, the barcodes, or also all other catalog number, other identifiers that you include in their catalogs. The idea is to support the customers, to support the users of the data, no, to identify the articles that are notified. And then finally, please select an appropriate and correct article category. The article category in many cases is key to understand the kind of the type of article that is notified. And when this cannot be done by the information provided in the article name or other identifiers name. Okay, and here you have an example of how to notification of a watch can looks like. The next tip that I want to share with you is related with the notifications of very complex objects. It's true. I mean, most of the submissions that we have received now are related with simple articles, with articles as such like an O-ring, like a screw, like a plastic part. Okay, but we have also received very high numbers of very complex object notifications, and on these notifications, in order to provide the location of the substance of very high concern, the dossier needs to, is creating a hierarchy of components and subcomponents. Okay, these hierarchies sometimes are very complex for the users to understand where is the substance of very high concern located. Very difficult to move through the different layers. This complexity doesn't support better understanding of the article. For example, here you can see that in some cases there are layers created with meaningless data, like miscellaneous, or there are layers created with the same article name and article category without adding any additional data, but just more complexity to the whole notification. Okay, We really discourage the use of these complex hierarchies, and we really would appreciate if you can try to find a balance for the benefit of the users of the data. You can go to our document requirements for the SCIP notifications, where we provide some guidelines of how these hierarchies for very complex objects can be built, which follow a little bit the approach that you can see on the right side of the screen. The next topic that I want to share with you is sensitive information. I know all of us are concerned, you are concerned. In SCIP, is considered sensitive information, the links between actors in the supply chain and the information on supply sources. In 2019, from the very beginning of the project, we defined some validation rules to keep these principles, okay? And in this sense, we decided to not to disseminate the information about the submitter of the SCIP notification, and also to not to disseminate some fields related with the identifiers of components of complex objects. I really encourage you to have a better understanding of which is the information that will be disseminated, so you can make sure that you are not including sensitive data in the fields that will be published. Okay. Also, we recommend you work in a collaborative way with your supplier if you are starting to use referencing. Okay. Make sure that the sensitive information is not published when you are using referencing. And finally, ensure that you are not including commercial sensitive data of your clients on your notification. Okay, here you can see that we have a specific support document to explain which is the information that will be disseminated in a SCIP, and how you can ensure that sensitive information, confidential data, is not disseminated. Also, one other thing that we have seen in the data that we have been receiving is that in SCIP we have started to receive very high volumes of updates. Of course, updates, you may need to update your SCIP notification, for example, if a substance of very high concern is changed on your article. A substance that was in your article before is included in the candidate list. If you find out that there was a mistake on the submitted information, there are many reasons. And you can see how to do the updates, how is the process in our support documentation. But what we have seen is that we are starting to receive very high volumes of updates without any changes to the data that has been previously submitted. This behavior is unfortunate and has been seen mainly on S2S users. So we really encourage all of you to ensure that when you are updating a SCIP notification, you are updating it because it's new information that is relevant for the users of the data, the users of the SCIP data. Okay, that you ensured that your systems are not submitting update dossiers without any change, and also that you evaluate the possibility to merge minor change into one update. Okay. Finally, I want to, as part of these tips, I would like to advertise here that for the S2S community, we have also, there is a lot of information, supporting information available, where it is included different recommendations on how to perform the submissions. And also for you to know that there is one LinkedIn group to support these system-to-system users. Okay, so if you're interested, access to this link or join to our LinkedIn group. Finally, some lights of what is coming in 2022 for these tools to prepare and submit SCIP notifications. Next year, we'll be focused on stabilizing the tools, on these tools to prepare and submit, and we are not planning major developments. We will keep open the SCIP IT user group with a low frequency. This group was open in 2019 as a place to where active duty holders and different actors were involved to support us on developing the tools, on providing feedback, on gathering and engaging with the submitters of the data. Okay, so this forum will keep will remain open, but mainly to provide you more information about maybe changes or smaller adaptations that we may need, but of course always open to listen to your feedback. Okay. Finally, I would like to finalize my presentation with some take-home messages. For those that have not yet started, I encourage you to understand which are the tools that are available, which are the alternatives to simplify your duty, and to see which is which is best for your needs. Okay. For those that have already started, please check the information you are providing. Make sure that you are supporting the SCIP objectives, that you are not providing sensitive data in the wrong field. Also, make sure that the updates of your notifications are helpful for the users of the data. And finally, keep an eye on our website, news, and our social media channels. Here you can see our SCIP webpage with the different sections that I have been mentioning in the presentation: SCIP supports, tools to prepare SCIP notification. Then you can also have access to our Q&A, list. You can send us through our contact form any doubt that you may have, or you can even evaluate if you want to receive some SCIP email alerts. You can subscribe to it to receive our news. Okay. So this concludes my presentation, and thank you.